Hi, I'm Eden Clark, interviewing Mr. Poole for the Cancer Fund Drive. So, tell me, Mr. Poole, how has cancer affected you and your family?
Well, to put it appropriately, I'd have to say it has devastated my life. And it's really easy to say that before this happened, I lost my wife about a little over a month ago to cancer, and it really surprised us. We had no idea that it was looming in the background until December 6th. We got a CAT scan at the hospital because she was in enough pain that Tylenol and ibuprofen would no longer cut it. And so we got a CAT scan, and that's when they called us in and showed us the scan and went over with us. And it was really a nightmare to hear the things that just to hear the doctor say, to repeatedly ask quietly, do you have any history of cancer in your family? Every time she would say that, I would freak out inside, because before that, cancer was always something you'd hear about, until it's affected your life directly or more directly. It's something we hear and we just put off to the side, we go back to our regular lives. But, and I've had a few family members battle cancer before, but never up this close, I had to watch it point blank, and so that's why I'm allowing you to interview me, is because it infuriated me to watch my soulmate be torn from my hand, and I want to do everything I can with the rest of my life to try to make a difference so that future generations might not suffer as bad. And along those lines, I think it's pretty safe to say that every 10 years we see so much improvement. Even 10 years ago, it was a much more frightening experience than it is today. But it's still bad. It's still bad enough that more has to be done.
So, how would you say your doctors took the news?
Pretty well. I mean, considering I know that there's got to be the same storm inside them as there is in me. My youngest daughter processes it a lot like me, and is very emotional. And my oldest daughter is not as open about her feelings, but I know that it's just the same, and at the same time that I can feel and admit to being devastated by this experience, I've never lost a parent like they did at their age. So I can't say that I would prefer being me, and they can't say that they would prefer switching. You know what I mean? You can't. There's no way to compare. I'm a husband losing a wife. Their kids losing their mom. And it's all a tragedy.
If you could see your wife one more time, what would you say to her?
How can I possibly put that in words? I would probably do that at her. And everything that I want to say to her, I've already said probably in some way. But I'd say it all one more time, you know what I mean? I would tell her I love her, and I would let her know how happy I am to have had her as long as I have. Our love was so special that if I could trade another life and not know the kind of love we had, I don't think I'd do it. You know, that's how fortunate I feel like I am.
So what do you think you are going to do moving forward with your life?
Very easy to answer. I made up my mind on a couple of things the moment I realized how serious this was. And you also have to understand that when this happened, I still hadn't realized the possibility that I would actually lose her. But I felt like very early on, it was like God was telling me that the time for being afraid is over. And I mean that in every respect. I mean, even just being interviewed right now, I normally would be afraid of it, but after that happened, I'm ready to face anything. And anytime I start to feel afraid, I remember that moment. And the time for being afraid is over. So, and the other thing is that I had a moment with Mary's mom when we were looking at each other from across the hospital bed, and Mary was kind of, resting, sleeping, and we looked at each other and said, she said, the only way to protect yourself from this kind of pain is to just never love anybody at all. And of course, you can't do that. That's not living, So I decided right there in that moment that I was going to love with all my might every moment of every second of every day. As crazy as that may sound, because at the same time we have to return to a sense of normalcy in life. I mean, you can't live like you're gonna die every second, or you just go insane. Like there's a country song, "Live like you're dying." It's good to remember, because that's what this experience has taught me, is that some things in this life are really, really important and others are not. And so I guess that's the big picture, is I'm not going to be wasting as much time on things that aren't important, and I'm going to be very quick to figure out the things that are important and the things that aren't. And I think that music is a huge part of my future. Because it's gotten me through so much in life already that there's a picture I painted years ago of a guy in an ocean hanging onto a guitar, and the guitar is, helping him make it. And the waves are really big, and it's me. And that was me painting, trying to express how music has saved me through my childhood, like growing up, And the part that shocked me was that I'm back in the water, because music is helping me get through the biggest tragedy of my life, losing my wife to cancer. So I'm also, I have a little wish, a little, dream, And it's always awkward to share visions like this when there's still just a seed, you know? It's kind of like if you held a seed up to somebody and said, this is going to be a gigantic tree someday. So, you know, it would be really easy for the world to mock that, you know, to go, you know? And it could turn out to be nothing, you know, if you don't take care of that seed. But the seed that I'm talking about is, I would love nothing more than to use, I wrote a song when my wife was in the hospital, that kind of sums up the way I felt facing that terror. And I've decided to try to use it to inspire people to donate money to cancer research, because that's what's making the big difference, you know, is along with, you know, love and God and things like that. There's doctors out there who are working feverishly to try to come up with more ways to fight it, more ways to identify it, because that was the one real killer in my wife's situation, was that they didn't catch it in time, and they couldn't identify it. They didn't know where it came from, you know, what organ it started out in. If they know what organ it starts out in, they know what treatments work, you know. And we spent basically our whole time in the hospital trying to find out and never knowing, and she was gone. So the wing of OHSU that she was in was, and the floor was the Phil Knight Foundation Cancer Research or whatever. Basically, the guy who owns Nike. And I found out that that somebody pointed out the window and said that he had donated, you know, hundreds of millions of dollars to have this facility built. And I admire that, somebody who has immense wealth but is willing to put a large amount of that towards helping other people, you know. So of course, a dream would be to be a successful musician and be able to do the same sort of thing, you know.
Words can only describe what you've gone through, and like, I haven't been through that type of thing, and I'm really sorry for what you went through. And I want to thank you for the time that I got to interview you for this.
Appreciate it, and I thank you for interviewing me.